All right, guys, this is Ronson Brown here for episode 1. We're talking to the lovely, hardworking wife, caregiver, kumu hula, businesswoman of the world, Auntie Gloria Nahalea. Hi, Auntie, how are you?
Wow. You know what, Ron? I'm going to have to carry you around in my pocket so that you can share that kind of intro every time I get up.
Oh, I don't think I can fit in there though. Too fat, too momona. So, how are you doing,
You know what,
Auntie?
though?
Uh,
I'm doing good.
Okay, that's good. So,
Yeah, so I'm really, really excited. I'm happy that to be on this conversation with you, talk story, because it's we've just been really blessed, Ron, you and me, and Bill, Uncle Bill. We have had the most wonderful people that has come in and out of our lives. And one of the benefits of being in a semi-retired place of our life, they call it being in the fourth quarter of your life, is that I still have mentors and people who take me under their wing and share their lives and their passions. And these are folks who have been retired for more than just, I've only been retired for a couple of years.
right.
And they've been retired for many years. And I'm always amazed with how they have lived their life, how they have pursued their dreams, how they have brought their passions that they've had all their lives, but didn't get a chance to do much with it until after they retired.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, because how many of us work all our entire lives, and at the end of our working career, people kind of are twiddling their thumbs, trying to figure out how they're going to live their lives, what are they going to do for the rest of their lives with joy. And these folks I've just been really blessed with that I met have continued on turning their energies into passions that they've pursued. And they're very interesting. All three of them are in the productions career now.
And I met all of them, I believe, that you're going to
I
talk
think
about. Yeah.
I think you have met all of them. Russell Cahill, I think, is the only one that you haven't met yet.
Yeah, I don't think I met. Yeah, I haven't met Russell. No.
You're gonna love him. You're absolutely gonna love him. He is this delightful man who is an author. In fact, you can Google him, and it's under Russell Cahill, Cahill, and he has been working in the parks department for his entire career. And when he left, he's a Hawaiian, native Hawaiian, that just loves doing what he does. And he writes stories. He writes books.
I believe he gave me one of his books, Kolea, right?
Kolea.
Okay, that was Russell. Yeah, I haven't met Russell yet.
Delightful man. He's got a twinkle in his eye. You wouldn't even know that he's in his mid-80s.
Wow.
He walks around like he's probably just 65 or 65, maybe 70 at the max. And he and his wife still travel all over.
Wow.
But he's a native Hawaiian author, and he's a graduate of San Jose State College. He has served for 40 years as a park ranger.
Really?
And managing the national, state, and county parks, as well as managing the fish and wildlife and other forest resources. So here's this man that you would think that he lived, kind of an isolated career.
But yet he's like, he writes books. Yeah, I'm looking at him right now. After this, I'll post it. Of course, this is like being, I'll do the post production, but I'm looking at him, and he's in his mid-80s, and
Yes.
he's just like what do you call those guys? Adventurous.
Yes. And his imagination is amazing. He There's a couple other books that he has written. That one of them, his latest one, is his adventures as a park ranger.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got another one here. What is it called? Keppa. Keppa
Yeah,
is
I'm
the
looking
one
at that right
is,
now.
Yep, he's the one that the character of Kalama that was named back in the day of the Hudson Bay.
Okay.
He's that kind of a character, and how he and I met was really because he was producing that book, and he knew that Bill and I were doing the productions with Bill's television show,
Mm-hmm.
Hawaii Showcase Television Magazine, and there's also another one that he has done called There in the Islands that was aired in Hawaii and up here in the Northwest. And in those times, Bill would always find me some very interesting people to interview. And Russell happened to come by us when he saw that we had been, as event planners, we had been producing the Kalama Heritage Festival since 2005. I mean, that's a whole nother little story on its own. But part of our project with that was to find interesting people that could lecture or share a story about the connections of the Kanaka and the Indian tribes, the First Nation people. And so that's how I met him, is he had contacted me about wanting to have a booth and having a vendor space where he could sell his books.
Right.
So as we got to talking, he's telling me about the works that I had done, and it had inspired him to go ahead and write this fiction book. And he sent me the book, and I read it, and I went, "Oh my God, this guy! His way of his writing style is very easy to read." It reminded me, Ronald, of like when you had I ran across your books that you had sent to Bill.
Uh-huh.
And whenever someone sends me these books, I've got stacks and stacks of them that people ask me to read. I do read them.
Right.
I get around to reading them, and it's always like I get to know the author a little bit differently.
Right.
You get an insight of their imagination and their heart, and what the themes of their books are.
Right, because the book that you gave me from Russell Cahill, Kolea, that was a really interesting book. It was a good story about.
Wasn't that the Alaskan?
No, that was what was it? The native, the kids, they were like on a journey.
Yes.
Yeah. God.
That's the one.
Yeah. It was just like well, how could you put it? It was just like everyday events, and the way he had the characters interacting with each other. It was pretty
Yeah.
cool. Anybody can tell a story like that. They're a genius, I think.
Well, it actually is that's part of the heritage of the Hawaiian storytelling.
Yeah.
How our kupuna would tell us a story about this or that, or genealogy-wise, they would talk about who was who and who got married to whom and what was going on as current events during that time. It's the same thing as even the native First Nations are like that. And somehow they weave it into like legends.
Right. Yeah, the native. Yeah, it's real similar.
Fascinating.
Yeah, real similar. Yeah, the native Hawaiians and the native like the Indian nations here, right?
Yep. Russell actually, our halal had a book club during that COVID time, and which was really fun because we all picked different books, and we'd have the different authors would sometimes join us in our book club readings and to kind of give us an insight of their stories and why they wrote it. And Russell was always one of them that we would invite and he loved joining in on our book club Zoom meetings, and he would get in and start talking stories, and he just had this magical way of speaking. But I think what I really took from Russell is because he's always thinking of what's the next book he's going to write.
Right, right.
And he has become a mentor because I would sit there and I'd say, you know what, Russell, I've thought about this story, but I could say it as a docuseries or anything like that. And he says, well, writing a book can be difficult. But if you could get around a theme and just stay focused on what that theme is going to be, then you'll have a ton of different books you can actually write.
True. True. I agree with him.
So I said, why is it now? I'm gonna interview him in one of our YouTube channel episodes because his stories is just amazing. That man still goes around finding places that he can be at festivals. He's gone and done the Live Aloha in Seattle Center. He's been a vendor at the 4 Days of Aloha here in the Vancouver, Portland area.
Right.
And he's he's traveled up and down the West Coast. In fact, one day he called me about a festival in Las Vegas. And he said, have you heard of this festival? And of course I said, yeah, I have. He goes, well, I'm thinking of going there. My wife and I want to go and travel anyways. So he had gone and went over there and he just had a blast. He said he sold out all of his books. Everywhere he goes, he sells out his books.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So he said, that's my new side hustle.
But he must be doing good if he's selling all his books, you know. Pitching a desk and a tent at a festival or whatever, and you sell out. That's awesome.
And he just has this really delicious sense of humor, but easy to talk to. He's very appealing, and he'll go anywhere. But he is among many of the kupunas that I've looked to as my inspiration, and the fact that he's following his passion.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always interested in hearing more about, other people and their works. So one of the other people that I had an opportunity to introduce him to, but the way I had met him was at Chemo Fields.
Yeah.
And he is totally an amazing man.
Yeah, he's an interesting gentleman, that guy.
Yeah, you met him.
Yeah.
And all the stories that he has. So his passion has been radio and Hawaiian music.
Yeah,
and
he's
musician.
Right. His works on, what do you call it? Cataloging all the Hawaiian entertainment. It's amazing,
You saw he's got several big, large notebooks.
Yeah.
Typed.
I mean,
he's got the information about the different musicians. He knows about the different books. I mean, I could hand him a different book every week, and
Mm-hmm.
he'll devour it and add it to his collections.
Yeah, Chemo is very interesting. I mean, all the reams of history that he written down. I mean, nowadays, that's real old school, yeah? I mean, nowadays, everybody's got, like a thumb drive or, like, they put it in the cloud, but... Yeah, it's really interesting.
He was the Google of old.
He was Google before Google, right?
He was Google before Google. And he just amazes me because I think the first time I met him, he had shared with me, I mean, his tone of voice when you're just talking to him, he's just talking to you like a neighbor would be about, fixing his lawnmower or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that kind of tone and pace. And one day we were talking, he says, oh yeah, I have a notebook of collections of these different musicians. In fact, many of your musicians that played at your Kalama festivals, I have stories about them. I have their short bios and the music that they have written or produced. I have a lot of interesting things about these different musicians. And he was looking at my program guide that was featuring the different musicians that were going to be playing.
Mm-hmm.
And my goodness, he had tons of information about them. For example, Makaha Sons.
Right.
He had history of when they started, what music they played. He's got a like a playlist of music that he has shared online as well. But he just is so into it. I've never ever known anyone that was so into the music that they can recall trivia information about them.
That's incredible.
He remembers when they were born, where they were born, and who they affected, and what musics that they played in what era.
Yeah, Kimo's a special guy, you know. And all to me, all his works, as well as what you and Uncle Bill did, all you guys archives, it's history, and I tell you, gotta be preserved because people always want history, and the stuff you got and Kimo has. I mean, you can't buy that at like Barnes and Nobles. I mean, that's like special, customized interviews, really, when you think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, because his collections. I think when we went to go visit him, didn't he drag out like bins of notebooks?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you could pick out anything on there. He has developed things like trivia. Okay, what happened? Like for example, today's what, June 4th.
Today is the 5th.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. One day off, Auntie, but that's all right.
So
we'll let you go.
June
5th, yeah.
He has some trivia that says what happened June 5th of say 1980.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll have a list of interesting things that's happened during that time. He's just kind of like a walking encyclopedia of
that's
Hawaiian
awesome.
music. He's even expanded it, not just with the musicians. He's also done it for kumu hulas.
Really?
And and people who have created music books.
Wow.
There's a friend of ours. His name is Don Yoder, and he passed away quite a few years ago. But he was famous for putting song sheets for the ukulele song clubs who gets together, and he would put together these song books, and they would distribute them at the kanikapilas. And so he and Kimo, they became fast friends because they shared a lot of the same information.
Mm-hmm.
And on their kanikapila notes, you'll have the song and you'll have the chords on there, and then next to the songs and the chords, there's the chord sheets of how the chords are played for that particular song, and at the bottom they have liner notes where that song about the composer and what the song is about, just some little notes about it. And so this is the kind of thing that Kimo did. I mean, he poured over albums and CDs and took a lot of that information and put it into his notebook. I mean, he's got a catalog, a library of it that is totally amazing. I would love to have him share with us some things about the different kinds of genres of music. It's not just the traditional Hawaiian. He's also done with the Hawaiian or the reggae music of today.
Yeah, the more modern likes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was asking, was it Kimo? Then, like I said, he's been in the he's had an interest in radio, broadcasting off and on in Taiwan. His wife is from Taiwan, and Hawaii, and then up here Pacific Northwest. He's been for 22 years. He was a mail carrier. And he graduated from the University of Hawaii, and he retired in 2009. So this is a man that's been for 16 to 17 years. He's been collecting all of this as a passion. This was his passion, and he kept pursuing this. This year, a couple of months ago, he sends me this text and said, "I'm heading in for some surgery," and he's in his mid 80s. It's like 85.
Yeah.
And I said, "Kimo, you all right?" He says, "Oh yeah. I told my doctor that once I'm done with this surgery, that he had to keep me alive for another 25 years because I have lots to do. I've got lots to do. I've got people to see, places to go.
That's an amazing attitude, though. You know, he still wants to live, right?
He still wants to live. He said, I'm not ready to go yet, Doc. So I've got stuff I still need to do and want to do. So when I talked with him about the, the YouTube channel, again, like I said, he's been one of my role models. Ron, I'm just blessed with people like him and Russell because it's their outlook on life. It's that they don't take health issues. They take them seriously, yes, and they do need to do what they need to do for that, but they don't let it define them
Yeah,
or
yeah.
hold them back.
And that's good to have friends like that, you know,
Oh yeah.
because we can get all stuck in our own little funky hole, right? And then you get somebody like that and say, "Hey man, I'm almost 100 years old. I'm gonna run the marathon. What's up with you, boy?" You know, like your sister. I'm sorry. What was your sister's name when I followed you guys up to where was that for Christmas that one year?
The Christmas party, my halal Christmas
Yeah,
party.
yeah. Well, your sister. What was your sister's name again? I'm sorry.
My sister's name is Rosie.
Rosie. Yeah, Rosie's so cool because she goes, "What's your problem?" I go, "My knee's sore." No, serious. Because my knee was kind of like funky because it was cold, right? I'm not used to, right? It was Christmas time up there in Washington. It was kind of cold. And then she goes, "Ha! How old are you?" I go, like, I was, what, 60? She goes, she's 70 something and she's dancing hula. It's like, whoa, had to crawl in a hole right there. But no, like all your friends who are like, in their 70s and 80s, I mean, I say this out of respect, at their age. So, oh my God, they're all happy to be alive, and like, they got aches and pains, they do. And they got stuff happening in life, but they just kind of like you said. I mean, they take life serious, but not serious enough that, like, if Kimo was hurt or something, he's gonna just let that define him or whatever. He's a really interesting guy, seriously, with all that knowledge he has because of his love for doing something. Yeah, like how you and Uncle Bill with the Hawaiian music. What you guys do? You guys love doing it. You guys just gonna do it because you love doing it.
Well, both of them just they're people that I love talking with them, or when they're telling me how things are going. I have a thing now with most of my friends that are mentoring me or encouraging me to keep going with this project or that project, and I have bounced all kinds of different ideas with them, and I'm long on ideas, Ron, as you know. I just am short on time. But these folks, they keep me giggling and laughing. I think I got this, both Russell and Kimo on separate times had contacted me and said, oh, by the way, we were going to have a conversation, and I'm just going to be busy for the next couple of weeks. And I'm going, thinking that they're going on a travel trip or whatever. But no, they're dealing with something like maybe surgery or something where they have to kind of lay low for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But it's always been, but you know what? That doesn't mean you can't text me. I may not answer right away. And both of them had done, when they got out of whatever it was, whether it was a surgery or whatever ailment that was going on. And well, I got out, they let me loose. And I'm home now and I'm fine. And let's talk tomorrow about blah, 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 blah. And I'll tell you, it's very inspirational for me.
Yeah.
To hear that. And even if they're down, they'll say, I've had better days. And by the time we're done off the conversation on our phones, we're giggling and laughing and wondering what kind of mischief and mayhem we can be getting into next.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you guys having fun,
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Oh, yeah. And both of them live along the Puget Sound on the I-5 corridor. So they have met me from time to time along I-5 because they happen to be going that way, or I was happened to be going that way, and that's where our paths were going to cross.
Right, right.
And so It's kind of like in the old days, the drug deals that you would do, and you find out what parking lot you're going to be at. Of course, that's what I was told. I don't know about those.
Yeah. That's what we heard. That's what we heard. Yeah, we heard about that. We heard about that. Don't know nothing about that. Yeah, DAA man. The DEA guy is like dropping in our phone call. We don't know nothing, Mr. DEA man. Mr. FBI narcotics guy. We don't know. We heard.
So, but there's this. I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful that I have a wide circle of friends that are into doing what they do, and I'm always so curious. I'm so nosy. I want to know what's the latest thing that they're doing. How are they doing this and whatever.
Just niele ya you. Niele.
Oh yeah, yeah, gotta be,
Oh,
gotta be.
anti
That's
on
what I'm
niele
talking
out
about.
there. Anti on niele.
The last person I wanted to share about, and we've just been really having a lot of fun reconnecting. She has been somebody that I got to know her many years ago in our earliest days when Bill and I had began to start collaborating on some projects.
Mm-hmm.
At the time that I had met Bill, this is before we were dating and before we started working together. I had met him because he was producing a television show here in Seattle. And
Wow.
of course, in Washington here, there had not been anyone that had produced. I mean, I didn't know anyone that was directing a TV show or any of that, let alone having it be in Hawaiian. And because my work was that I was constantly, as a kumu hula, that's what I did. I mean, I was known as a go-to person for educating and helping create for this Folkline Festival, their cultural program for the Hawaiian segment. And because I was known to be out in the community as a performing group, and as a lecturer and an educator, people knew who I was regarding that. So when I met Bill, he was introduced to me, or he was referred as a person to be on his television show, or someone that could help him find support and find people to interview for his television show. So he shows up at the halal, and when I met him, I knew nothing about television production or even radio broadcasting or any of that. I simply was an educator. I was a culture bearer. And so when I met him, I had mentioned that one of my students' mothers was a grant writer, and she had helped me to teach me how to write grants, because at the time we were looking for grants to raise money for our musical instruments, some of our ipus and gourds and dance instruments that were traditional.
Right.
And so she was helping me with that, and she was helping me with getting into some other needs to support community efforts in educating people and raising awareness about the Hawaiian culture. So as she was teaching me how to do the grants, she ran across a grant that she thought I would be interested in doing, and it was about the study of Hawaiian people and their demographics here in the Pacific Northwest, what brought them here, where they landed, what was the population of them, and a little bit about their history. And it was for the King County. So she helped me write that grant, and she was so good that grant got accepted, and I was awarded that. And that led me to a search about the Hawaiian connections with the Native Indian tribes, the First Nations.
That's interesting.
It is interesting. I think I took you to that town of Kalama.
That's an interesting town right there.
Yep, and it was named for a Hawaiian man named John Kalama. So, long story short, my friend Allison got me started on documenting and finding where these Kanakas lived. Well, that little journey brought me to the Kalama family, who were descendants of Maui. They were
Right,
descendants of
that's
John
right.
Kalama.
That's right.
That's your home, your home
Yeah,
island,
right.
up by Hula.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And when I was there, Mitch was taking me around the that new facility that was built with the choo-choo train and all that.
Yeah.
And I saw pictures of the Kalama family. And it was really amazing because like what you were saying, they were working for the company, the trading company. And just to go from Maui to like the Northwest to work, and you're a native Hawaiian, you know, just fighting those elements in itself is like interesting, you know, and then dealing with the different peoples, I guess. Yeah, it was really interesting.
Well, one of the people that I met in that earliest time, we're talking late 1999, first part of 2001, 2,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. It was around there. I met this woman through my friend Allison, who was a grant writer. She introduced me to this TV producer, Sue Charles, who was also doing documentary work and filming of some of the first canoe journeys up and down here that has become an annual event on the Pacific Puget Sound.
Right.
Well, Sue Charles, turns out that she was producing television shows just like what Bill was doing. But her husband was the host, and in Bill's television shows, I was the host. So Sue and Bill were the folks that were behind they were behind the camera. They were doing the editing. They were the ones that were coordinating lighting and sets, studio work, as well as being on location.
Right. Right.
So her husband Ben and I had been, we kind of like, as hosts, we had something in common. So we traded the stories that we knew, and it just really became a fun little. They were very focused on the native tribes, and we were focused on the native Kanakas. And so blending our work together, she ended up helping with my very first video documentary called the Kanaka Project. That came from that grant, my very first grant that we were awarded.
That's awesome, Auntie.
And from then on, we have had many other grants that have moved on. But Sue and Ben, because we've had this long history, her life went one way, and my life went another way. We did crisscross and attended some of the same canoe journeys and some of the same similar pot matches and powwows.
Right.
In turn, she came to some of the events that we had done. We had done a video piece on at Fort Nisqually in Point Defiance in Tacoma. And this is when I got to understand and learn who Sue was. Back in the day, Bill and I were just this couple that was pursuing our work, and she and Ben were a couple that was pursuing their work. Bill and I didn't have children. Ben and Sue, she had a special needs child, and she'd been raising her for 50, she was taking care of her, a full-time caregiver for her, for 54 years.
That's amazing. That's a long time.
It's a long time. And she was also, in later years for Ben always had some heart issues. She was also caring for him. So she's had two people in her life. that she was caring for full time. And then the third one was her mother-in-law. I mean, her own mother. And
Right.
so at one time, she had shared a life of that's all she was doing was caring for others. So she did put her work, her career on hold. So as time went on, I didn't realize how much she was able to do and carry out her career while still being a full-time caregiver.
Uh-huh.
And fast forward to today, 6 years ago when Bill had a stroke, I found myself being a full-time caregiver. And I always circled around to talking to Sue. So from time to time, she and I would chat, and she became a support person for me because she knew how deeply connected I was with the community and all the things that I was doing as a go-to community elder here. And going from fast-paced living, chasing our dreams, being business people, we had started several things, an event planning company, as well as we got involved in the food industry. When you're in the entertainment business, you get involved with luau's, which includes food and includes decorations, all aspects of event planning, and which also led us to doing the different festivals. All of this came from the times that I had met Sue in our earliest years. So I hadn't talked with her for a while. Sue happened to come back into my life when, after a recent move, I was going through an old box of files. And at the bottom of the file, there was an email that I saw that I'd saved from her husband, Ben. And in it was talking about the projects, like the Kanaka project, and carrying on some works where I was going to be interviewed by him, and I was going to interview him for our show. And so I saw that her phone number was there, and I just called her up. This was probably, I think it was before you had left for Hawaii. While you were still here.
Okay.
I think this last trip that you were here, because you were here what?
Was
March?
Yeah, March. Yeah, March.
So when I think this conversation with Sue happened after you and Bill and I and Chip were talking about doing more works with What Time Now, and creating this YouTube channel and all that. I think it was around that kind of time.
Right.
So I called Sue, and we got reconnected again, not knowing that she had gone through a process of her daughter had passed away, her husband had passed away, and so did her mom. So she went through 3 very dear folks that she was caring for, and had been going through a grieving process. And for caregivers, I didn't know that was happening with her. So it was, I've always thought that God has put me in a place where I reach out to people for whatever reason.
Right.
And at that time, it was a necessary reason that I did get in touch with her, because I think as we were talking and sharing about our past, it rekindled a passion for her to get back into her productions. And she had kind of put it on the back burner for a long time.
I think that was a good thing that you connected. When we talk, we always talk about the divine, why things happen. And I've never met her in person, but it's like I've known her all my life. When you kind of made me or had us connect with each other just by Facebook, and then I talked to her a couple of times, and just recently she says her internet service was down, so she couldn't get online or whatnot. But yeah, she's telling me about exactly what you're saying. Here's this woman that was a caregiver, kind of like putting stuff on hold and stuff, just to care for their loved ones. And I guess as we talk more, me and you and Uncle Bill, because you've been through that caregiving thing too with Uncle Bill since October 17th, 2020, just to let the listeners know that we're gonna have more conversations, me and Auntie Gloria and Uncle Bill Nahalea, because their story is just amazing. And from then till now, talking to Auntie, the sole caregiver, and that's not an easy job, guys. A lot of people think that, oh, there's a caregiver, they get stressed out, but later on, Auntie, you will share with us, right, the mental health aspect of being a caregiver, right? Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I kind of wanted to touch on that
Oh, oh,
with the conversation I had with Sue,
oh, okay. You
because
want to talk about some of that right now for a little bit before
sure,
we go, because then the
I
people
would.
will understand the whole dynamics of what you do, and now you know.
Well, as a caregiver, I think sometimes we just feel so isolated, and we feel like no one in the world would ever understand what we go through, and rightly so. But also, someone like myself who never had to deal with caregiving for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Here, Sue had been doing it for 54 years. My journey in it was only for 6. And I think when you're taking a child from infant to a lifetime, it becomes part of your life, and you adapt and you learn. But some of the frustrations that she had faced, and when I had shared them with her, she totally understood where I was at. And we've been able to share things. And again, like I said, for me to reach out to her because of that email, I needed to remind her what a fabulous husband she had. And that all the work that she did with him and taking care of her daughter, I really had to tip my hat off to her. Because I don't know, I couldn't do what she was doing, hauling her family, making sure wheelchairs were in the car, and making sure everybody was packed with all their needs and their medical needs. And then on top of that, to make sure that her own recording equipment needed to be had to be packed. And then she had to be the navigator to find the location where she was going to film. She was filming being on the beach when the canoes were going to be going off on their journeys. And she would have to pack them up again to take them to the next stop and the next stop. Well, along the way, she also had to take care of their taking care of them, when to have meals, to check into a hotel or wherever that they were going to be spending the night, and all that goes with that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so here I was, fast forward to 6 years ago to now, I'm sitting there complaining about just Bill and myself, just the two of us, and thinking, oh, my goodness, all the processes of doing that, loading up the wheelchair to go into your vehicle, making sure you had a vehicle that you could load it into.
You're right. I mean, that's a hard job, caregiving.
It's all, yeah.
A lot of people don't know. I think a lot of people don't have families or never experienced tragedy or whatever in their lives. They're just like oblivious to what people like us went through or going through. Hawaii people, it's all about ohana, and you try the best to care for people, especially the kupunas, right? And we just try our best, but the people need to know who's listening, because, like I said, me and Auntie Gloria and Uncle Bill, we'll be talking a lot. We're gonna have a lot of episodes, believe me, because all of this is really educational. It's spiritual. It's physical. There's gonna be humor. There's gonna be laughing, crying. Believe me, because this Wahini, Auntie Gloria, has so much stories, and she can't discount her experience of taking care of Uncle Bill. Everybody's case is different, and I've seen some people just cannot handle caregiving, Auntie. I seen it with my own eyes. I told you stories where I had a friend that had his dad was dying of cancer, and the mom split because she couldn't
Yeah.
handle. So if there's any caregivers out there listening, thank God for you and what you do for your loved one. Seriously. And even if it's a few hours a day, I'm sure that person you're caring for really appreciates that. But yeah, so again, Auntie, you want to just touch small kind with
Sure.
with what you did today with Uncle Bill, because Auntie is like, she doesn't want to be doom and gloom. So let's talk about something happy that you did with Uncle Bill today before we go.
Okay. This is a
All right.
happy thing.
Okay. You like this
Okay.
stuff. Okay, here we go.
I like. Okay. Um, Initially, in the earliest stages of his recovery, Bill could not. He couldn't cook. He couldn't um, slice his food. And so to feed himself, he couldn't butter a bread or dish up a scoop of rice and put it on a plate. Um, he just couldn't cook. He couldn't prepare. He couldn't do things like that. He didn't. If he looked in the refrigerator, he'd kind of look at it blankly, like, "Oh, what am I supposed to do with stuff that's in there?"
Right.
you know. So I had to make sure that he ate properly and he ate at the right times. And time was something he didn't understand. It just wasn't there. Numbers, day of a week, it wasn't any big thing. So in the beginning, he needed a lot more care. Plates having to be served up to him, and food needed to be bite sizes. Making sure that he had special kinds of utensils to be able to feed himself. And at the time, we called them wardrobe savers. They were like bibs, basically.
Right.
Okay. And in the beginning, we had to put like a what they do for like babies, because their food would just fall all over the place, and like a little mat. So those were the things that we used to do years ago. Well, he has progressed, and he's developed, and he's gotten better, and he's recovered over the years. And so today, I'm going to digress. I've been getting into reading, okay, and studying, and about things about like how to produce the YouTube, and not only that, I got hooked on Harry Potter books.
Oh yeah.
All right. Oh yeah. So I've gone through 2 books. Well, they're very interesting. I was really getting into that, and I was just reading it and reading it. Well, time came for breakfast this morning. And Bill could see I was into my book. So he goes into the kitchen and he prepares his own breakfast. Okay, so that little living room area that I was sitting at, in our house.
Yeah.
And then where the dining room and the kitchen is. So I hear him putzing around there, grabbing his cup or making his own coffee. And I said, "Do you need any help? Would you like for me to make your coffee and get you your breakfast?" He goes, "Oh, no, I got him." And for about 15 minutes, he's putzing around, doing all that. I keep, checking in. "Do you want me to go in there and help?" "Oh, no, you just sit there and do your thing." Well, 20 minutes later, he's sitting at his table, at the dining room table. He's drinking his coffee, and he made himself a bowl of cereal, went to the refrigerator and got his milk and poured it and put it back. All those kinds of things. And it's the little things like that, Ron, that we can celebrate and go, hallelujah, because I actually had a chance to do just kind of a self-care for myself. I mean, it could have been a very selfish thing. I could have just gone ahead and made his breakfast and got everything ready for him.
Yeah.
But he had a sense of accomplishment himself. He had a sense of feeling independent and that he could do things for himself.
Well,
that's huge.
Yeah, well, ever since I knew Uncle Bill, and I knew Uncle Bill since 1983, he was always like a gung ho Hawaiian, does things for himself. And just to touch on what you just said, when I visited you guys at Port Orchard a few years ago, a couple years, almost 3 years now, And I remember him taking his laundry from the upstairs where you guys the bedrooms are at, right?
Uh-huh.
And he's pulling it down. And I look at you, go, Auntie, what? He need help or what? He need help. And you're like, no, he get him, he get him. I'm thinking, no, I gonna help him. So I go, hey, Uncle Bill, you need help, and he just ooshed me away. Like, hey, get away, I get him, bro, get away. You sure, Uncle Bill? You sure? I told you, yeah. I said, oh, okay. Oh, he's scolding me in his own house. Okay, sorry. And you're like, Ron, just come over here, have coffee with me. He's got it. Okay. But I'm like, he had a hemorrhagic stroke, guys, which is like the massive stroke. There's two strokes, right? The ischemic, which is kind of like the milder one, so to speak. But Uncle Bill had a hemorrhagic stroke, and he at that time when it went, that was like 3 years ago. He was okay because he was lugging all his laundry down up and down the stairs, but yet the last trip I went, he is much better. Yeah, Auntie, much better.
Oh,
His
oh yeah.
speaking, his memory, as best as can be. And the guys, you guys got to remember now when you have a stroke, and Auntie, correct me if I'm wrong. When you have a stroke, it's basically like your brain is injured. Yeah, your brain is injured. Um, Mild brain damage, even you can call it. But your brain can heal in a way, and that's why they give you physical therapies and occupational therapies. And the first time I saw Uncle Bill, like that was about 2 3 years after his stroke, his affected hand was the right side, and he said he couldn't feel anything. But imagine him picking up like pixie sticks or or chopsticks even, grabbing it, but you can't even feel it. But you got to pick up those sticks and stick them in holes. You know how hard that is if you don't have any feeling. And he aced it. Yeah, he aced
Yeah.
every one. And those little like those marbles, and in your house, you had him like put them in the pukas, and I was
Yes.
just amazed that he was doing it. So it's the will, I think, Auntie. It's the will to get out of that funk of being a stroke victim, which you said you don't ever want to be uh, known as a stroke victim, right? You don't want to be known for that. Something bad happened. Now you just want to be happy and enjoy life. And I think that's the inspiration that you can give people, not only stroke victims, but people who had cancer. And I got a friend on Facebook who beat cancer. Thank God he's surviving, but he's singing a lot now. But when he sees you guys post, he gets inspired. Like, hey man, Uncle Bill, they're like walking in the park and stuff. And I know some stroke victims. I'm sorry, but they really doom and gloom. They don't do the PTs or the OTs, and they have insurance, but they just don't want to do it. So, what would you say to the people right now listening who are caregivers to their family that just don't want to help themselves? Because you gotta, right? You gotta help yourself.
You know, it's easier to look at what you don't have and feel the lack of it, and then feel sorry for yourself, having your own little pity party.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also equally your choice. You can also take a look at it and celebrate the joys of what is happening next or what you can do. And for us, I just want to say that, yeah, it's worth the hard work. It is definitely worth the effort. I find tremendous joy, really, of watching Bill say, "Yeah, I'll do it myself." Even though the thing that I'm going to be fearful of is if he does fall, or if something like those kinds of things that happen that would impair him or getting another stroke. But you know what? If that's what I'm always going to be focusing on, life could be much more miserable. But if
Yeah.
I'm focusing on, hey, tomorrow we're going to go for a walk, we're going to try to go for a little bit further walk instead of only just going half a block, maybe we're going to go 2 blocks. We've gone out where Bill actually didn't, he wasn't aware, where we were at a park. The distance was like 2 miles. But because he didn't know it was 2 miles, I knew because I was keeping track on my steps.
Right.
And every time I kept looking at it, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to see what's going to happen with Bill. But because Bill was so engaged and visiting and talking with the people that we were walking with on this path, and everybody he saw, or dogs that would come by, or kids, he would, he was meeting with them, talking with them, all that kind of stuff. He did not even know that he had walked 2 miles. And he was using although he was pushing his wheelchair for balance. He didn't even know he did that. Whereas if he knew he was only going to have to get out there and walk a couple of blocks, and mentally he thought that, and he's getting himself psyched up, I think what Bill had shown me was, when you are enjoying and the settings that you are at, don't be afraid to go to those settings.
Yeah.
Do take a look at what you do have. We have worked hard to find good paths that it's not uneven. It is a straight path. It is easy to get to and park and move up and down. We were at the beach the other day, or at the same park, and we saw boats going in and out of the where they load the boat launches, and we were watching them going out and doing their thing, and paddle boards out there, and we do a picnic. We go and take our picnics time to go out there and do that. So what I'm saying is, I think what I want to say is, don't let what you cannot do be the thing that rules your life. Still do them. There are some adjustments. There are some things you do need to do. We bring a picnic lunch. We do a picnic lunch. And we take some of our favorite things, and we just go out there and just cruise and enjoy. There is something about getting vitamin D. There is something about getting the fresh air. There is something about watching life go on around you, that you can come home and feel like it's a life we had before he had his stroke. You can still enjoy it.
Yeah, and the thing too is, like, what I'm learning from Auntie Gloria is to, like she just said, but to try and be happy. Try and find the things that bring you joy, because life is really short, guys. I mean, it can end at any time. And I think the next episode we're going to have Auntie talk about. Can we talk about the day of the stroke, Auntie, in the next episode?
Sure.
I think that,
We can talk.
yeah, I think that is a good thing to talk about, and people can really understand the severity of what happened with Uncle Bill and Auntie Gloria on October 17, 2020. And when you hear her story, it's just amazing, because can I say that right now, Auntie? That day, Uncle Bill could have died. Uncle Bill could have died, and other people on the freeway could have died, because, real quick before we go, they went out to Bremerton, right, Auntie? Bremerton, right, to go shopping.
Yeah.
They had their own restaurant, and we'll get into that in the next episode. But they went shopping. Long story short, they were coming back to Port Orchard on the freeway, and that's when Uncle Bill had his stroke. And when I was there, we had one of Auntie's caregivers kind of retrace the path that they took on that Saturday, and exactly how fast their car was going and all that. I think it was like over 5 minutes, right, Auntie? We were like on the road.
I believe when you went to go and retrace it, it was 6 minutes.
Okay,
of
6
the
minutes.
stroke. 6 minutes from when he was starting to have his stroke to when it actually stopped, and then the medics had come, and I believe that because his ability to be able to go, if he had not gone in to emergency, he would not have made it. Hemorrhagic strokes are the worst kinds to have. 15% of all strokes, 15% are hemorrhagic, so it's more rare. And of that 15%, it's a very, very slim chance that people make it to be alive. And in Bill's case, um, he is a walking miracle.
He is,
And
yeah.
I
I
do,
agree.
I do believe that God's had him here for plenty of reasons, and one of them is for me to have an awareness of what people go through with a severe event like that. It has made me really stop, smell the roses, and be able to really understand what can trigger these things. There are ways that people can prevent strokes, and so that's the other aspect of what I would like to be able to talk about sometime too, Ron,
Sure.
because it's
Absolutely.
people can help. There's plenty of ways that you can help yourself, and one of them is reducing stress and the ability to kind of just stop and sit still. I've learned a lot about what sleep can do for people. I didn't realize that in this world we have a lot of people that are deprived of sleep, and that's the worst thing that can happen. It can create a lot of more hypertensive situations. But yeah, so I would love to talk about those kinds of things, because our journey, Bill's and my journey, we aren't the same people today as when it occurred.
You just roll with the changes.
You roll with the changes. We have gone through where I watched Bill go through his grieving process of acceptance of his situation.
Mm-hmm.
And where you're angry, you're asking why me, and then being frustrated and feeling embarrassed, not wanting to be around people, just because you're feeling like you're just not who yourself is. And so that's a little grieving process that we go through.
Yeah.
But I've watched him go from there to powering through and going, doggone it, I am going to move forward. But you also have to know that I think different people's approaches. I'm pretty determined myself, in that I knew that Bill did not want to go yet. But I also knew that if there was any way that I can help him find his will, he was already willful. He already had a passion for living.
Mm-hmm.
And going from not knowing, having lost much of his memory, and having to relearn everything. So hemorrhagic strokes are, it's not a fun thing. Ischemic, if you're going to have a stroke, the ischemic is the one you want, because that's the one that most people can come back from that stroke.
True.
Yes, you might have some other deficits and issues you might have to deal with, but for the most part, you're walking, you're talking, a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
But strokes are different for everybody, and it can happen as young as a young child.
Yeah.
So it's not just preserved for older working people.
Right. And we got to kind of wrap it up, Auntie. But
Okay.
it's really good talking with you on the various things we talk about, like your friends who are, as you term, in their fourth quarter of their life, and they're still going. And if there's any senior listening out there, like the super seniors, right, in their 70s, 80s, don't give up. Move around, do something. If you haven't gone fishing and you can still walk, tell your son or your grandson take you fishing. Get out of the house, do something, and live and stuff like that. Hey, Auntie, so is Uncle Bill around? Can he say something so that people can hear him?
Yeah, Uncle Bill is right here. He's been listening to our whole conversation.
Hey, Uncle Bill, can you say something for the people?
Well, I could say one thing: don't give up. Just keep on going.
Okay, guys, this is Uncle Bill on the line. He is the one that suffered the hemorrhagic stroke on October 17. Uncle Billy, who is the strong Hawaiian, no give up, right, Uncle Bill?
No give up. Just keep on going. No matter how hard, you gotta go. Keep on trying.
Keep on trying.
That's all.
Get him. Gotta. And Uncle Bill also, just to let you guys on Maui know, a long time ago when I first met Uncle Bill in 1983, that's how long I knew Uncle Bill. Uncle Bill was always in the entertainment thing and promoting. He had a big part in a way of promoting Willie K and Hapa way before the internet, right, Uncle Bill? Flyers, right? Xerox copies.
Wait, yeah, not like now, but yeah, back then, I knock on doors. You gotta give the guy one chance. Hey, don't try, don't play, don't play, don't play. Okay, bring him then. Next week we'll have them playing in Lahaina. Go bring out Musmukidakadi to somewhere like that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
That's
neat. But I remember those days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna visit.
Okay. So we're gonna have Uncle Bill and Auntie Gloria on the next episode on the RS podcast. Okay, Uncle Bill, I talk to you Bombay. Meaning later.
Okay, brother. Be
Love
safe,
you.
man.
Okay, love you. Where Auntie?
Love you.
Love you, bro.
bro.
Auntie, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up. So thank you for being my first guest on the RS podcast with the tangerine. that's my podcast, guys. Get the tangerine. Remember that Rounds and Browns get the tangerine. And we're gonna be doing more episodes via maybe Zoom one day. But right now we're just gonna do call-ins with Auntie Gloria and Uncle Bill and see what's up because they're very inspirational. Believe me. If anybody's going through a tough time right now after you listen to Auntie Gloria and Uncle Bill, you think to yourself, what's the big deal? I'm moving on. Anything else you want to say before you go, Auntie?
Nope, just be a blessing to others, and that's it.
That's
Share the
it.
aloha.
Okay, Auntie.
Okay. Thanks, Ron.
Okay. Goodbye.
Ahui ho.
Okay.